I am making a Malefic deck profile. I just figured it's been a while since I last made a Malefic video, so I figured might as well make a little bit of an update for it. But I just really like Malefic because it's just swarm with big boss monsters and either watch your opponent just get punched really hard or cry because there's not a field spell in play, therefore you can't play. Starting off with the monsters, I play 3 copies of Malefic Paradox Gear. Malefic Paradox Gear has the effect that if there's a face-up field spell on the field, you can tribute this card, special summon 1 Malefic Parallel Gear from your deck, and then you can add a Malefic monster from your deck to your hand. And then while this card is in your graveyard, if you would summon a Malefic monster by banishing a monster from your deck, or extra deck, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. You can use each effective Malefic Parallel Gear once per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Malefic Paradox Gear. Malefic Paradox Gear just lets you Synchro summon using this card in your field and a Malefic monster in your hand. Which the easy levels that you can make with Malefic monsters in this deck is level 10 monsters and a level 12 monsters. I don't have everything for it, but if I did, then I'd be using some of the Crimson Dragon cards in the deck. And then next, I play 3 copies of Malefic Stardust Dragon. Malefic Stardust Dragon can be special summoned by banishing a Stardust Dragon from your extra deck. And then all the Malefic monsters share the effect that you can only control 1 Malefic monster. Other monsters you control can't attack. And if there's not a field spell in play, they self-destruct. And the Malefic Stardust Dragon also has the effect that while it's in play, your field spell cannot be destroyed by card effects. Next, I play 1 copy of Malefic Blue Eyes. Is it just... Okay, this just does the same thing as Stardust Dragon, but without the protects the field spell. And then 1 copy of Malefic Rainbow Dragon. Same thing as Malefic Blue Eyes. A lot of these Malefic monsters just share the effect of the can't be normal summoner set has to be special summoned from your hand by banishing the original monster from your deck or extra deck from play. Other monsters can't attack you, you can only control 1, that sort of thing. They blow up within no field spell. And then next I play 3 copies of Malefic Cyber End Dragon. And then next I play 3 copies of Malefic Paradigm Dragon. Malefic Paradigm Dragon, you special summon by banishing Malefic Paradox Dragon from your extra deck. But unlike the other Malefics, Paradigm actually has an effect beyond the whole generic Malefic effect. Which that effect being... Oh, I think I moved the camera a bit. Let's see, what was it? Once per turn, you can send a Malefic card you control from the... Bleh. I apologize. For some reason, my brain doesn't want to work. You send a Malefic card from your deck to the graveyard to then return a banished Synchro monster to the extra deck. And then you can special summon a Synchro monster from your extra deck with the same name. So you have this, you banish Stardust Dragon to summon Malefic Stardust. And then you can use this card's effect to return Stardust Dragon to your extra deck and then summon Stardust Dragon from the extra deck. The only downside of that, though, is if you use Stardust Dragon's effect when you summon off a Paradigm Dragon, then Stardust Dragon will not come back during the end phase. As long as I have the effect memorized correctly. Yeah, because special summons did not return. Then lastly, for the Malefic monsters, I play 1 copy of Malefic Truth Dragon. Malefic Truth Dragon cannot be normal summoner set. You can only control 1 Malefic Truth Dragon. And then, if a Malefic card or cards you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, while this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can pay half your life points to then special summon this card. Just trying to make sure it has the... I'm not skipping anything by accident. Okay, then beyond that has the generic Malefic effect, as well as having the ability of If it destroys a monster your opponent controls, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. So when it destroys one monster, it basically becomes a Regeki for your opponent. And then next I play what I consider to be the 4 best hand traps, which are 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. When a card is added when your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, except during the draw phase, you can then discard this card from your hand to then be able to make it so that until the end of the turn, neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand. Which I think, yeah. And then next, I play 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. This, honestly, at this point, is just in here to negate Molcharmies. But it can just, if your opponent also does something you don't like that lets them add a card from deck to hand, send a card from deck to grave, or summon a card from deck, you can negate that too. Speaking of Molcharmies, I also play 3 copies of Molcharmy Fuwalos. Fuwalos you can only use when you have no cards on your field, but it lets you discard it so that every time your opponent summons from the extra deck or main deck, you get to draw a card. With its only downside being that during the end phase, if you have more cards than your opponent has on their field plus 6, you then have to randomly shuffle cards from your hand back into the deck until you have the number of cards in your hand matches the number of cards your opponent controls plus 6. And then lastly, for the hand traps, I play 3 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being. Nibiru just lets you tribute it, or activate its effect when your opponent summons 5 or more monsters, where you can then use its effect, tribute all monsters on the field, and if you do, you then special summon it and a token to your opponent's side of the field that has attack and defense equal to the combined attack and defense of all monsters tributed. And you can only use 1 Nibiru the Primal Being per turn. Let's see. Moving on to the spells. I play 1 copy of 1 for 1. This card lets you send a monster from your hand to the graveyard to then be able to special summon a level 1 monster from your hand or deck. Then I play probably the most important card in the deck, which is 3 copies of Malefic Territory. Malefic Territory, when activated, lets you place a Malefic World from your deck face up in your field zone. Make sure it's not deck or graveyard. When it's activated, it lets you activate a Malefic World from your deck. And then while it's in play, it changes the effect of you can only control 1 Malefic monster to you can only control 1 of each Malefic monster. So without this, you can only have like Malefic Stardust Dragon in play. With it, you can have Malefic Stardust, Malefic Blue Eyes, Malefic Cyber End. You can have all of them. Well, up to 5 of them, technically. And then next I play 3 copies of Malefic Selector. Malefic Selector lets you banish 2 Malefic cards from your graveyard to then add 2 Malefic cards from your deck to your hand, as long as those 2 have different names from each other, and they have different names from the 2 Malefic cards you banished to activate it. And you cannot add Malefic Selector off of Selector. And then lastly I play the all-important Malefic World. Malefic World just has the effect that during your draw phase, you can skip your draw phase to then choose 3 Malefic cards from your deck. Your opponent then chooses 1 at random to add to your hand, which I actually did find out this card can actually be ashed, which makes so you don't get to draw during your draw phase, because it does skip your draw phase in order to use that effect. And that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, it is only 13 cards because I want to use the Crimson Dragon stuff. I just don't have the full thing. And I didn't really have enough cards that I feel like would have been good. So I'll probably honestly just slap an SP Little Knight and an IP Masquerena into the extra deck and call it a day. But for the extra deck, I play 3 copies of Cyber End Dragon. Cyber End Dragon just is in here just so you can banish it to summon Malefic Cyber End Dragon. Same thing with Stardust Dragon. However, you can actually summon this off Malefic Paradigm Dragon, so therefore actually does more than Malefic Cyber End. Where Stardust Dragon in this deck just has the effect that When a card or cards on the field be destroyed by a card effect, you contribute this card to negate that effect if you destroy that card. And then that's it. Ordinarily, it would then come back during the end phase. But since it was summoned off a Paradigm Dragon and not actually properly Synchro summoned, it does not get to special summon itself back. Next, I play 3 copies of Malefic Paradox Dragon. This is what you banish to summon Malefic Paradigm Dragon. But Malefic Paradox Dragon also has the effect of when this card is Synchro summoned, you can select one Synchro monster in either player's graveyard and special summon it. There can only be one face-up Malefic Paradox Dragon on the field. If Malefic World is not on the field, destroy this card. Really, the only time you'll ever summon this would be off a Paradigm Dragon's effect, and that's just because you want more bodies for more damage. Then, for the actual non-Malefic Synchro monsters, I play 1 copy of Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Changing. This monster I'm honestly thinking about playing it as a 3 of in the deck, just because it's so stupid. Just in the way of how good it is in the deck. Because the Malefic monsters all banish something to summon themselves, which can trigger this thing. Also, he's a generic level 10 Synchro monster. But it has the effect of it gains 100 attack and defense. Is it 100 attack and defense, or is it just attack? Nope. It gains 100 attack and defense for each banished card, and then your opponent's monsters all lose 100 attack and defense for each banished card. And then if a card is removed from play, you can activate Changing's effect to banish a card from your opponent's field and graveyard. And then if Changing would be destroyed by card effect, I believe it is. Let's see. Okay. If it would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish a card from your graveyard instead. And then next, I play 2 copies of Chaos Angel. This card in this deck has the effect that when it's Synchro summoned, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, or when it's special summoned, my bad, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. And then, because you only ever make it with dark monsters, the only other effect it has is that your monsters can't be destroyed by battle. And then lastly, I play 1 copy of Bestial Dispater. Bestial Dispater is only in here because of how you usually use Malefic Paradox gear, or Parallel gear, I mean, and then tune it with either Malefic Stardust Dragon or Malefic Blue Eyes White Dragon. But that lets you summon Dispater. Dispater has 2 possible effects it can do when your opponent activates a monster effect, where it targets a banished card, shuffles it back into the deck, or not target. It shuffles a banished card back to the deck. It does not target for that effect, I think, any other one. And then does something based on whose deck the card got shuffled into. If it was shuffled into your deck, then you get to destroy that monster. But if it was shuffled back into your opponent's deck, then you negate that monster's effect. And then its final effect just lets you target a banished light or dark monster to then special summon to your field. Which usually I'll have this, I think really the only thing I can really bring back is Malefic Parallel gear. But it's mainly in here just for the ability to be able to recycle your things so you can destroy your opponent's stuff. But if you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas for decks like to see made in the future, or decks like to see face each other, feel free to comment down below. And if you have any ideas, say something, because I'm still trying to figure out what to do with the extra deck. Like I said, I'll probably just toss in either 2 more Changing, since he's actually kind of broken in this deck, or SP Low Knight and IP Masquerena. But if you have any ideas, comment down below. I always read the comments. Thank you for watching.